up?
Tea and vocalist.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on, guys? J. Curtis Strickland here. TNF Podcast. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Click on that bell. Today, we have with us independent filmmaker, hardcore musician / vocalist, and the host of the New York Hardcore Chronicles podcast live on YouTube. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Drew Stone.
What's up? What's everybody?
Going on, man?
How's everybody doing? That's a different change of pace. I'm not hosting, and I see some of my people showing up already in the chat room, so that's cool.
Oh, nice. Very good. Oh, here we go.
What's up? What's up, Victoria? What's up, Scott? What's up, RS70? Oh,
Nice.
we go.
You got a good audience coming in here. So what's going on, man? You're up in New York. What's going on up in New York right now?
Oh, well, lots is going on. Let's see. Where do I even start? In my world, I'm doing the New York Hardcore Chronicles live. The band I'm in, Incendiary Device, is in the recording studio. The record's being mixed. I have a film that I'm sure we're going to talk about that's out doing the film festival circuit.
And it's
called? It's The Jews and the Blues.
The Jews and the Blues.
I'm heading down to Florida next week. It is the closing film of the Palm Beach Jewish Film Festival.
Nice.
Which is the Super Bowl of Jewish film festivals. What else? Man. I could go on and on. I have a dramatic film script that's in development that's
Very
moving
cool.
forward. There's talk about, we're still talking about this biohazard documentary. I got 4 films on Amazon.
Polly Workshop Vid says, shout out to Long Island.
I even take a shower and screw my girlfriend once in a while.
Very cool. So let's talk about your documentary there, The Jews and the Blues. Now, we had spoken a little bit prior to this, and you had mentioned that, you'd done 3 films about hardcore, and, you kind of just wanted to do something different. What attracted you to this subject matter?
Well, coming up as a teenager in the late 70s, early 80s, hardcore wasn't the first thing that came on my musical landscape. I kind of came up. I grew up in New York City. I went to public school. A lot of rock, what they call classic rock music and stuff like that. I loved Southern rock when I was growing up. I loved, that said, like Led Zeppelin, Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck. You look beyond that and, what were their influences? And that led me to a lot of Americana and blues. And that's how I made my way to Woody Guthrie. And that's how, Johnny Winter. I love Johnny Winter. What were his influences? Oh, Muddy Waters. Oh, wow. Muddy Waters did this, and this. That's where that song is from. So, that sort of led me, looking back to the roots. And I was always, at a very young age, I was a musical archaeologist, so to speak. I just really, as a teenager, I just really, really, really loved music and I lived and breathed it and was infatuated with music. It was my whole life as a teenager. Getting stoned and going to fucking concerts in New York City, and and also the Grateful Dead were part of that. And this was all happening before I went to my first hardcore show. And then so I always had a love for that genre of music. And after doing XXX All Ages XXX, the Boston hardcore film, the New York Hardcore Chronicles film, the New York Hardcore Chronicles film 1.5, and Who the Fuck Is That Guy? The Fabulous Journey of Michael Lago. I just really wanted to do something different. I really just, as an artist, wanted to challenge myself and wanted to mix it up. So I got inspired. There's a couple things happened that really got me thinking about making this film. But a lot of times when you make a film, I don't say like this, or even in general, when you say, I think I want to do this, things change and change and change again. And the film that I ended up making was very different than the original, seed that was planted a couple years ago, when I thought to make the film. I'll tell you what the impetus to make the film was. Like I said, on the blues tip, right? One artist that I really, really loved and still do. I'm actually doing a retrospective of his career on my show on Wednesday. Is a guy named Jorma Kaukonen, and he played in a band. He played in a band called Jefferson Airplane, and then later on he was in Hot Tuna, and he plays a very rare ragtime finger picking style of blues guitar. And he took lessons from Reverend Gary Davis. And Jorma and Hot Tuna and other bands he was in, he's an artist I followed my whole adult life. Like, I've probably seen him play, I kid you not, at least 100 times, at least 100 times. So this is a guy I saw, at 14 years old, and, and since then, so at one point, someone tells me that Jorma has he married a Jewish gal and is sort of rediscovered his Jewish roots, is observing the Sabbath, and Jorma's Jewish now. And I'm like, what? And wow. So I got this thing in my head because I always wanted to do a documentary about him, and I still do. And this thing came, the last of the great Jewish bluesmen, and it was going to revolve around him and people like that, other people, other Jewish people, guys that were in the blues rock, it goes on and on, Peter Wolf from Jay Giles, and, onward and onward. There's a whole bunch of them. But then things took a change and another change. And I ended up connecting through a hardcore band called Eternal Struggle. I
was going to say yes, and I think I found a new favorite band.
Yeah.
They were sick.
Yeah. So they're in the film, and through them, I connected with sort of Israel and the Middle East. And then I ended up, going to Israel to do some shooting with my brother, Evan B. Stone. And just ended up shooting all this great stuff in Israel and connecting with all these artists in Israel. And it just changed sort of the theme of the film. And, like I've said many times, when I make a film, I don't like to have all the answers. I like to have a framework, and I like there to be a sense of discovery as I make the film. And I have a belief that if I find it interesting along the way, that in some way, shape, or form, the viewer will find it interesting along the way.
Oh, you have to find it interesting. It's much like, stand-up comedy. You have to find your own material entertaining and hilarious to you. Otherwise, the audience won't. And, it's interesting that you brought up Eternal Struggle, because you made the correlation in the documentary about how hardcore and punk rock is basically a form of the blues. And I was like, yeah, I was like 100%. How did you make that connection?
Well, I think that a lot of this stuff is connected. Music is the common denominator that ties us all together. It is the common language, in a lot of ways. You have French, you have German, you have Spanish, but it's still a language and it's still communication. And the same goes for music. And lyrically and conceptually, a lot of the themes that are come up in hardcore are the same kind of themes that come up in the blues. The same hardcore is another aspect of the blues. And I always thought, well, I believe, and I've said this many times, is that hardcore American hardcore, is another form of Americana. The same way that Woody Guthrie and country music, this is real Americana.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting too, because it's like, you know, same struggles, isolation, trying to go your own way. And it's a very working class, like blue collar
Sure,
form of American music, you know?
sure.
So that analogy could be made too, you know? And, you know, I like you said, music is unifying, you know? I happen to have a lot of, you know, involvement in hardcore and whatnot, and a lot of influence in hardcore. But, you know, like you said, it's so great to go beyond that. And, you know, that was the glory of kind of being involved in hardcore. You get to say, like, okay, yeah, you know, this band is really awesome, Hatebreed, but like who influenced them, you know, and
Yeah,
like who
sure.
influenced those bands, you know, and it like it's like an archaeological dig. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, Hatebreed, who influenced them? Biohazard. Biohazard, who influenced them? Carnivore. Carnivore, who, you know, it's like you just start, you know, making your way. Who influenced them? You know, like, wow, oh, Pete Steele was a typo negative, typo negative. What's behind that? Like, and that's what one of the joys of being a music lover is that we, you know, we sail we sail these seas, you know, and things have changed, certainly, you know, quite a bit since, you know, I was a kid or whatever, you know, when we used to run to the record store on a Tuesday to fucking get the record and open it up and see, like, you know, the liner notes and the artwork, and, you know, you connect the dots and records, you know, and, you know, you clean your reefer on the records and shit like that, you know, back in the day. I mean, people still do it, I'm sure. Um, but, you know, now there's the internet, you know, things change, you know, uh, and I'm not saying like they change for the better or for the worse. I'm the last guy to go like, oh, back in the day, you know, and all that fucking drivel, which is just
Yeah.
nonsense. Oh, it was just, it's not like it used, it's not like it was. Yeah, well, welcome to life. It's not supposed
Yeah.
to be
Life's
like,
not like it was.
it's
Yeah.
not
Exactly.
supposed to be how it was.
Now, how long did it take you to film the Jews and the Blues?
I think, well, the actual filming that's
Yes.
in. I shot
Because
this.
people usually don't know the process that goes behind making a documentary. It's very involved and it takes a long time.
Soup to nuts. Soup to nuts. The film took about 3 years. I shot in Israel for 9 days.
Oh, wow.
So it was
Wow.
like a year getting ready, 9 fucking days of shooting in Israel, a year fucking editing the thing, you know.
Yeah.
And then we decided we wanted to shoot some stuff in the studio. Um, and you know, in Florida, we shot some stuff in the studio. But listen, with films, you know, like when I did the Michael Alago film, I spent a year just clearing shit. A year. A year of my fucking life was spent clearing shit for the Alago film. Hey, I want to shout out all my supporters.
Go for it.
Scott Kajewski out there, Paulie Pork Chops, Mr. Wolf, Larry Kelly, D, Victoria, yeah, and RS70. So couple of real great friends and supporters, and I'm really happy to see you guys here.
Yeah, I'm happy to see y'all too. And you know, if you guys got any questions or anything, feel free to field them in the chat and
This
whatnot.
is your chance, motherfuckers.
Do it. So yeah, you know, as far as you know, filmmaking, people think it's like child's play and that just about anybody can do it. And it's like there's so much that goes behind the scenes, and there's so much, you know, love and toil that goes into making a film that we don't necessarily see in the final finished product. You know, you don't see all the like the PAs that are working and like, you know, people that are running the boom and you know, all that stuff, you know.
Well, it's always been like that, right? In the golden age of Hollywood, you know, it was Hollywood. You know, now all you need is one of these, and you can make a movie. You know,
It's true.
yeah. So things change. You know, and but you know, it depends on what you're doing. yeah, sure, you can make a film on one of these, but it depends on it depends on what you're trying to do here, you know.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, and to speak of your hardcore films, what initially got you into hardcore? Like, where's your roots? Where's your evolution? What's your first exposure to hardcore? Earliest memory?
Well, like I said, I grew up in New York City, and I was around in late '70s, going in 1980, and when I was a young teenager, and we were sneaking into clubs here in New York, and we were carrying on. When punk kind of came out, it was sort of a joke. It was a joke to us, It was like punk rock was like Sid Vicious and like bad music and just it was really, I don't say it was over my head, but it and I saw a bunch of punk bands early on, but they really didn't carry much weight to me. It just seemed like crappy music through crappy equipment played by sloppy, crappy people, Um, I remember I saw the band Suicide early on. I mean, I don't know if I'd call them punk per se. And I remember we just thought it was the funniest thing. It was like two guys, and it was like I saw a bunch of punk bands early on, and it didn't really ring my bell, so to speak. In 1981, I went up to Boston to study acting at Emerson College.
Oh wow!
And when I was a freshman living in the dorm, and basically the first weekend that I was there, I went down to the cafeteria, and I met a few people there, and there was a guy there with his head shaved, and I was introduced to him, and I started talking to him, saying, what are you into? I came up from New York. I thought I was going to be like the next fucking, Jack Nicholson. I thought acting was going to be easy. I really had a pretty cavalier approach to the whole thing, and was really, outspoken from New York, not afraid to sort of be like, hey, what's up? What are you into? And freshman in college, right? So
Sure.
I approached this guy, talked to him. What are you into? He says he's into hardcore. I said, hardcore? What do you mean hardcore? Like Joan Jett or Blondie or the B-52s? Those were my exact words. I remember that. That was my reference.
Sure.
Like, what do you mean? Like hardcore music? Like what? Like Joan Jett, Blondie?
Now they say Slipknot.
Yeah, like that was what I thought was sort of like hardcore punk music was stuff like that. He said, "No, you ever hear of Black Flag?" And I said, "You mean like the bug spray?" I had not heard of Black Flag at that point. So I start, I'm talking to this guy. He says, "Hey, look, there's a show going on this weekend. Why don't you come with me and we'll go check it out?" I said, "Yeah, sure, bet, I'm down." So that weekend came, and I remember it as we took our skateboards, but he tells me he never had a skateboard. By the way, this person I'm talking about is Jack Kelly, who sings for Slapshot. This is
okay.
Jack Choke Kelly, who still to this day sings for Slapshot, was going to Emerson College as well. He's the skinhead, the first skinhead I ever really saw, that in the dining room in the cafeteria that I interacted with. So me and him go to this place called the Media Workshop in Boston, on Boylston Street. We go like 3 flights up to this art space, and there's like 15, maybe 20 kids there. Now this is 19 summer of 1981. So, hey, Bill Cashman, what's up, man? So this is it. Or Drew Stone origin story right here. So understand that at the end, we're talking. Let's just say it was August 1981, right? The term hardcore didn't exist at this point. There was no, oh, we're going to a hardcore show. It didn't exist. It didn't really have a name. So
Right.
I go to the show. I'm in an art space. You know what? I should pull out one of these pictures. You know, I have
That's
these.
the best. Those are some of the best places for like DIY shows. They're
Oh
usually
yeah.
super congested, and like you can get 50 kids in there and it looks like it's insanely packed, you know?
Oh, I'm gonna try to find.
Sure. Yeah, we got cool technology here on StreamYard, folks.
Yeah.
Interesting that you said that you were an actor because I also have an acting background. In fact, I just joined Screen Actors Guild not too long ago. So, what kind of motivated you to go into acting? Like, did you you have like a family that has an
Yeah.
entertainment background and
Oh yeah. My dad's a film director. Did a lot of commercials and stuff. My dad was a film director who settled into doing commercials in the 70s and in the 80s. He worked with a lot of sports figures. And so my uncle, his brother, was a film editor who worked on The Hustler with Paul Newman. And
yeah,
so I kind of grew up on the set, and I grew up somewhat, in the film business or peripherally. I always, for me as a teenager, job, when I had to get a summer job or something, I worked in movie equipment rental houses. I
oh
learned
wow,
I learned how to fix film equipment early on, like lights and stuff. And I could always drive. I could drive the equipment trucks. And so like, 15, 16, 17, my summer jobs and jobs was always in a movie equipment rental house, humping sandbags, putting together orders, fixing lights. So I really came in sort of and got acclimated at the
sure.
ground level.
I'm envious of you for that because when you know all those skills within filmmaking, when you can, run lights and do things like that, it helps you so much more in the filmmaking field to be able to have all this know-how.
Yo, without a doubt. And we talk about my music video career a lot and the stuff that I did. Without a doubt, that I'd like to say part of the success, I don't, was the fact that once we started doing these, having come up through the crew, being a crew guy, I did it all, bro. I fucking drove equipment trucks. I fixed equipment. I did deliveries. I was a production assistant. Bottom of the food chain. I was a third grip, a second grip. I was a boom man. Yo, I did it all, and I worked with a lot of people. By the time that I started my production company and got connected with Paris Mayer from the Cro-Mags and started doing music videos, I was calling crew guys that I worked with, and like they knew, like, yo, this motherfucker is one of us. This guy ain't a Hollywood producer guy. This guy was in the trenches. This guy
Sure.
this guy knows what it's like to deal with this shit. So, and I also learned from my dad. My dad always had a really good relationship with the crew guys. Because listen, my dad grew up in an orphanage in the Lower East Side. He's a real, my dad got to start in the film business, at boxing matches when they would shoot film. In between rounds, they would download a film, and he was a messenger that ran the film to the lab. They'd have
Oh,
like
wow.
5 messengers running film to running the film to the lab. So my dad came up. Was crew guys loved him, and when I started, doing this stuff, I was really tapped in to crew guys and also equipment houses, which I still am. My godfather, Gabe DiRienzo, GDR Equipment Company, I still put in days with him once in a while loading trucks. Well, mostly because I love him. He's family, and I just like spending the day with him. But I still put in days now and then when he calls me and says, "Hey, are you around? Could you?" I'll go up there and bust up my fingers and get filthy and just be around the equipment and be around Gabe because I love him, and it takes me back. But back to so yeah, so there was all that. And I did some modeling and some acting. I did I was in plays when I was a teenager, at summer camp, and I did some modeling. I did some acting, and so it seemed like what I wanted to do. You know, I wanted to be an actor. So back to the task at hand, I go to the media workshop, and there's a band playing, and a couple bands, but a band playing called SSD Control, right? And turns out it was their third show. There was like 20 kids there, and after they played, what was really incredible to me was it was kids my age. Before that, my experience was, you know, there's us, the consumer, the audience, and then there was this big, canyon, void, and then there was the band on the stage. This was my first experience with interacting with a band of kids my age, and who were singing about stuff that was cool and that I could relate to, not, whatever,
Yeah.
not like, it was
Well,
like,
the contemporaries of the time, like Fleetwood Mac or something like that. Yeah.
well, where am I coming from? Rolling Stones,
Yeah.
Allman Brothers,
Oh,
stuff
the
like
Rolling
that.
Stones fucking rip live. They are insanely good.
Yeah, they were all great, but they were rock stars.
Yeah.
And it was very unapproachable and untouchable to me.
Don Foos is in the chat.
Yeah, fucking love Don Foos, bro.
What's up?
What's up,
yeah,
Don?
Hey,
Don, let me know what's up for my birthday, bro. Are you guys coming, or do you want to come do a couple songs with us? This shit's coming together now, man. Let me know, Don.
Shit.
So,
All right.
So it was a band called SSD Control, and also there was like, some kids jumping around, right? I'm talking 10 kids, 15 kids. And I jumped right in and got into it. It was fucking fun. And then when the band was over, the guitar player took his guitar off and approached me, not in a threatening way. I never felt threatened, but they were just intrigued, like, yo, who's this? Because it was just local kids. And then, so I started interacting with Al Baril, Al Lethal. And
who is invited on this podcast. He's been mentioned on here 3 times, but I sent him a message. Al, you're still invited. Anyway,
yeah,
sorry.
Al doesn't do a lot of stuff like this these days.
I got you.
But what are you doing? What's happening? And I ended up talking to him. And to make a long story short, I just, they took me in, and I fell in with the Boston crew, and shaved my head soon after. And I have a picture here. Let me put it in. Now, this picture is not of that show. This is a little bit of a later show. If you could put that up.
Yeah. Wait, which one? Oh, the one you just put up. Okay. Yeah. Let's do that.
So there you go. So that's a picture at the media workshop. You could see me behind the speaker. I'm ducking around it. I have a little camera in my hand. That's Al Baril on top. That's Jake Phelps underneath. This is a little bit later. There was probably 30, 40 kids there, but but this was after I shaved my head, so this was a couple months later. But this is what was happening at the media workshop, and people were slam dancing at that point. Absolutely. We didn't call it slam dancing. We were thrashing. We used to call it, yo, were you thrashing? Like we would call that thrashing. Keep in mind, the word hardcore didn't exist yet. So, we were thrashing. And then eventually, it got tagged as hardcore. But at this point, I don't know, I think we kind of called it punk or thrash. No, we called it thrash, really. I remember calling it thrash,
Interesting.
And this is before like, I think the traditional thrash, like Metallica and Exodus and all that came out of San Francisco. You know what I'm saying?
Now I recognize that picture from the documentary too, the all ages documentary. Yeah, that seemed like a really kind of interesting space to with the.
Let me. I got an. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, like with the sheetrock hanging off. Like I can't believe
Yeah.
how many venues I played where it was like VFW halls or like holes in the drywall and stuff.
All we did early on, there was no commercial appeal to it. Clubs wanted nothing to do with it, so it was art spaces, VFW halls, church basements, people's fucking garage. This went on for it was a while.
Yeah, they couldn't sell alcohol, because the kids weren't old enough to buy them. Hence, all ages. Yeah.
I just put up another photo there. This is an interesting photo. This is actually in the inside of the book I did fairly recently, but I think it's
Is it? Sorry, is it one of the flyers?
no, it's, you see it? It's to the left of that.
Oh wait. Oh, there we go. To the left. These
Nope.
ones? No.
No,
Uh.
there's three things up.
Yeah, I got it. The left. Wait, are we going back to this? Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought that was the same photo. My bad.
No.
All right.
Okay, this.
Carry on.
So what's interesting about this photo, if you look, this, I think I'm a teenager here. I'm probably 18 years old, and I think it's a testament to also, like, when you shave your head back then, nobody was shaving their heads. Like, here I am in a sea of kids, and I'm the only one with a shaved head, the only one. So and this is at like a punk hardcore show, So it wasn't like right off the bat everybody was shaving their head, or like it is now. Man, there was like 8 of us in Boston who shaved, let's say 10 fucking who shaved their heads that summer, and that was it, man. So that kind of speaks to it. And this is at a punk hardcore show,
Trendsetters.
So, well, I'm just calling it. Did I skateboard? Hell yeah, skateboarded all the time, man.
Nice.
Skateboarding was a huge part of our lifestyle. Skateboarded everywhere. I skateboarded everywhere until I bought a van with my bar mitzvah money. Right? So I got bar mitzvahed when I was 13, right? Mm-hmm. And when I turned 18, my dad said, it's your money now. You're an adult. You can do what you want. I went out and I bought a van, and like the skateboard, still got some play, but I had a bigger toy now. I had a van, and I'd fill it with my skinhead friends, and we'd come down to New York and go to the A7, and we'd go to DC and see Minor Threat, and we would go wherever the fuck the Bad Brains were playing, and we would go wherever the fuck the Misfits were playing, and like, we would get in the van and we'd go for it,
That's fucking awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, I have some of my best memories of going to hardcore shows, and like you were saying earlier with like Rolling Stones,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that there's that rock star factor, and there's that gap in the stage where if you've never been to a hardcore show or a punk rock show, or even like a show at like a coffee shop, like an acoustic show, you don't get it. You aren't able to make that organic connection that you would at just a normal rock and roll show.
Hey, will you put up Pat Baldwin's question?
Yeah, the red van.
He's glad he knows.
Did Drew ever? Okay,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, did Drew ever consider himself a skin back then, or was the shaved head just hardcore thing at the time, different from the UK skinhead tradition? Good question.
The way that it played out for me in Boston back then was we were part of we were part of the Boston crew. It was an American hardcore thing. Like, we weren't connected per se to the UK skinhead tradition. We weren't deep in that tradition. Of course, as time went on, I don't want to say I circled back, but that stuff became more pertinent to me. But at the time, it was hardcore. It was really a hard, like Boston hardcore thing, shock value. But of course, there's some roots in it. We were wearing combat boots, but we weren't like looking to the UK, for sort of guidance, behavioral guidance or fashion sense. We were sort of, we were
Autonomous.
dismissing a lot of the values of the past, with the long hair shit, this and that, and all that stuff,
Absolutely.
which is all fucking, it's all bullshit anyway. When it all comes down to it, it's like our group, our group, wants nothing to do with that group because
Right.
they're this, and this. When it comes down to it, in the end, they're both exactly the fucking same.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, it's funny. Punks were always like, "Yeah, I don't want to be cliquish," and it's like, in that statement, they've essentially formed their own little clique. It's kind of fucking weird like that. No GPS.
Listen. It was about being young. It was about being young, having a good time, being different, throwing people around. Humping as many girls as you could, getting crazy, having fucking fun. Getting into fights. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was a fantastic, joyous time in my life.
Yeah, of course. Don says, Mazel Tov, Shalom.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Absolutely.
Against society's conformity. Yeah, absolutely.
We're not gonna conform. Like we're gonna be different, and yet we're all wearing the same uniform, and we're all acting the same, and we're all regimented like this. And if anybody does anything different,
Yeah.
then they're selling out and they're fake.
Yeah, fuck that. I ain't into it. No, we were talking about, film influences and whatnot, and you told me to watch A Star Is Born, the new one, Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, and I wanted to thank you because now I think I'm officially in love with Lady Gaga, and if she's single, no, wishful thinking.
She's I like that film a lot. It's a great film. It's well directed. It's well acted. I think she's staggeringly beautiful in it. I enjoyed that film a lot. It was a great actor's piece, and in this day and age, everything is special effects, and everything is, it was a great actor's piece, well directed. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed that film. That was one of the last really great films that I've seen. Really great.
Yeah, I remember asking you that up in New York. I was like, what's one of the last really good films you saw? And you mentioned that one. And, interestingly enough, when I've never seen any incarnation of it up until recently, but Bret Easton Ellis was talking about it on his podcast, and like it's got like a real macabre description of the story, and I'm like, I thought it was like a chick flick at first. I was like, oh, it's not really at all, like.
Did you go back and see the other two?
No, the other three, you mean? The one from the 30s, the one from the 50s with Judy Garland, James Mason, and then the Chris Christopherson.
That's right. That's right. There was two.
Yeah.
I went back and watched the Barbara Streisand, Chris Christopherson one.
I heard it's not good.
It's okay. Chris Christopherson's kind of great in it. Barbara Streisand just plays like this whiny Jewish woman, and like she's doing. Barbara Streisand's doing her like whiny Jewish thing, and it was just. It's sort of I don't think it aged that well, but yeah. Oh, here we go. Hey, look, there it is.
There we go. Top three. We've got more than three, Scott.
Funny you should ask, because
we were talking about
the list is right here.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I get asked this question a lot. So it got to the point where I put a list together, and I go back to this a lot, but so there's a bunch here. So I'm gonna go through them really fast. But people ask me what my favorite movie is of all time, and my answer to that is The Shawshank Redemption.
Ooh.
And it's just it's a film that touches me in a lot of ways. Frank Darabont directed it. It's a well-directed film. It's just a story about friendship, and it resonates really strongly with me. I love that film, and it's a very powerful film, and that's what I go with. So that film, my favorite film that I go when people ask me all-time favorite film, I say, you know, Shawshank Redemption. Now,
It's a damn good
everything
film.
everything after this I'm going to talk about here, you know, could be second, could be fifth, but Shawshank second on my list is Planet of the Apes. The
Ooh.
original Planet of the Apes film was a huge influence on me as a kid, and just opened me up to as a young kid to just sort of science fiction and fantasy and filmmaking and what film is all about. As a young kid, you know, to me, you know, it's an escape. And Planet of the Apes, as a kid, to me, keep in mind the original Planet of the Apes came out when I was a kid, so I saw it as a kid. You know, like I think I was 9 years old. So my list says Planet of the Apes, all 5 movies. So, you know, it's really Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, Battle for the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
To me, it's one, you know, swirling black mass, that whole thing. But the original Planet of the Apes film with Charlton Heston is just huge for me.
Yeah.
The third, my third film is Road Warrior with Mel Gibson, which I love that film. I saw that film over and over and over and over again. When I was in the High and the Mighty, all our imagery was based on that film. We have a song called Road Warrior. I loved that film, and like Planet of the Apes, that was why I love going to cinema. You know, to get out there and escape and just into a whole nother world. And I love that film. Fourth down the line, Jaws. Jaws is just a really powerful film. I love it. It's like the Bible. Me and Charlie Benante from Anthrax are like big Jaws fans. Charlie was on my show talking about it. Next down the line is a Werner Herzog film that absolutely inspired me beyond belief. I'm talking about the film Fitzcarraldo. Werner Herzog directed Fitzcarraldo in the jungle, and it had a huge effect on me. And my biggest, and also the companion piece to that, excuse me, is my favorite Fiend, which is the documentary about him and his relationship with Klaus Kinski, mostly through the making of that film. So Fitzcarraldo is a film that my big takeaway was follow your dreams. You know, no matter what, fucking do it. Because in the film, drag a boat. You know, drag a boat. Hold on a second. I got Eddie Sutton from Leeway calling me. Hold on.
Oh shit.
Yo,
this will be a good opportunity.
Hey, I'm doing this guy's podcast now. Can I call you back when I'm done? I'll call you back.
This will be a good time to play a little merch stinger because I got to get a drink. Yeah. So give me 1 second. Well, we got merch for sale. Here it is.
Yo, I slayed them C's back in the rec room era. My style broke motherfucking backs like him for terror. Most rap niggas came loud but unheard. Once I pulled out, round them off to the nearest third. Check these non-visual niggas with tapes in a portrait. Flood the seminar trying to orbit this corporate industry. But what them niggas can't see must break through like the whoop unexpectedly. Protect your neck, my sword still remains imperial. Before I blast the mic, busy scratch off the cereal. We rain all year round from June to June. My niggas bite it immediately, if not soon. I have all your money.
All right, we're back. I got myself a drink, and Eddie Sutton from Leeway dropped in for a brief.
Well, he was calling me to. Yeah, I got to talk to him about something.
That's cool.
Yeah. So okay, so my next film is a film I just fucking love, man. Almost Famous, and I really love it. I love a lot of things about Almost Famous, and part of it, and part of it is I see a lot of my life in that film. So there's moments of that film where it really touched me because I was there, I lived it. You know, like wow, there's a couple scenes in there that are just like really, really get me choked up because, you know, if you've been in a band and you are in a band or you're a lover of music, you've been in some of those situations and scenarios in that film and you can relate. And there's a couple in that film that, like, word for word, literally, are right out of I've experienced. So I love that film. And one of the things I love about that film is that it's young people playing young people. And, you know, Cameron Crowe directed it. And a lot of times you see these films and it's like, you know, 20, 30-year-olds playing teenagers, you know. I think I said recently, what was that film? Lords of Flatbush. I was on recently with Sylvester Stallone and Henry Winkler. And like, those guys are like in their late 20s playing teenagers. And it's just, I watched 10 minutes and I was like, this is terrible. You know, this is fucking terrible.
Yeah, like Steve McQueen was like in his late 20s when he did The Blob, and he's supposed to be a high schooler. It's like,
right. So that's one thing I really love about Almost Famous. It really spoke to me, and still does. I love that film. Next up, and this is a package deal here. This is a package deal. Godfather, Godfather 2, Goodfellas, Casino. Like those four films, those, you know, Scorsese, De Niro, mobster films are just, I love them. They're great filmmaking, great acting. Love them. You know, I've probably seen Godfather 1 and 2, you know, 100 times. So I learned so much as a filmmaker from those films.
But not 3.
Well, we watched 3 recently. You know, I know they put some work into sort of rejiggering things, and it wasn't as bad as the first go round. I wouldn't call it good, but it wasn't excruciating like it was the first time around, you know?
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as everyone gives it the reputation for.
You know what came up? Me and my gal just talked about the other day. That came out like after Scarface, and there was like some scenes in it that were like a little too like Scarface, like you know, with the helicopter shooting all the you know, like into the meeting, and it was a little too much. Like it was a little over the top.
Sure.
You
like
know,
a Paul Verhoeven movie.
it's like listening to some record from the 90s and hearing like drum machines now, and you go, ooh, damn, what, you know.
Right on. What else you got?
This is interesting. This next one is interesting. It's a package deal. And Night of the Living Dead, Horror at Party Beach, The Thing, and American Werewolf in London.
Ooh.
These films, I love them. They were I don't know what would you call them, horror movies. But Night of the Living Dead was big as a kid for me. You know, Horror at Party Beach, which is a very shot in Stamford, Connecticut, a very sort of obscure, low budget horror film. Just sort of those cheap horror films that you know, really you know, took me into a great like fantasy world as a kid. The next one,
I love them. I mean, I'm a huge horror enthusiast, as you can see. And I love the good, cheap, schlocky B horror from the 80s. I don't know if you've ever seen Last Drive-In. Joe Bob Briggs does a really good job at chronicling a lot of the kind of grindhouse, schlocky B horror movies and curating them and telling all the behind the scenes stuff, which is fantastic. Highly recommended. Last Drive-In. Continue.
I enjoy. I mean, American Werewolf in London, I watched again recently, and it didn't hold up as great as I hoped it would. The Thing. I'm friends with Thomas Waits, who's in The Thing. He runs an acting school. That film I love. I love The Thing. I love the prequel that they did recently, a couple years ago.
Which character is Thomas Waits?
He's Windows, they call him, the guy with the glasses.
Windows, yeah, the one that gets thrown up into the sea. Yeah.
He's also in the Warriors. He's also in the Warriors.
That's right. Yeah. No, Thing, fucking masterpiece. Rob Bottin did it when he was like 23. The special effects on it, and I'm like, I did nothing useful when I was 23. I
Yeah.
was completely worthless, you know?
I like
Yeah,
got in by 23, I was like in a slant. I was just, carrying on. I wasn't really making a big mark in the world yet, you know?
had a heart attack because of that, though. But Carpenter's a huge one for me, too. I fucking love Carpenter.
Now
Christine.
I'm sorry. On my list here, I'm getting down to sort of a couple of sort of influences. They're not the big, but this next one is really interesting. It's a doubleheader. It's The Terror from Beyond Space, and Alien. Now, if you ever wonder where Alien came from, watch the movie It, Terror from Beyond Space. They ripped off that movie verbatim. It's the same movie done in the 50s. They land on a planet, something comes in, you know, the exhaust or into the bay. They take off into space. The thing is in the ship. It's making its way through the ship and killing everybody up until the very end, where they're all in the very corner of the ship and they open up the airlock and they kill it. They literally ripped it off verbatim. And I saw this film as a child, and it terrified me. It absolutely terrified me. So did Night of the Living Dead. I'm talking, you know, this is a film I saw in black and white when I was 9 or 10 or 11 years old, you know, like, so these films like really affected me as in Planet of the Apes, you know, which I saw when I was probably 9 or 10. You know, so you know, if you check that out, go backwards and check it out. Alien, the original Alien film with Sigourney Weaver, is a direct ripoff of It, The Terror from Beyond Space. It is.
I'm gonna have to watch this.
It's really cool.
It also takes a lot of influence from Dark Star, because Dan O'Bannon worked on that film, and
yes, of course.
And they, rather than a beach ball, they had a fucking guy in a rubber suit, you know. So, but Alien, continue. Yeah, rip off. I'm gonna have to watch this now.
Yeah. And I thought Alien was great. I'm a big Ridley Scott fan. He's done so many great films. He's a great director. Although I just watched something he did and it was fucking horrible. I just watched Kingdom of Heaven.
I heard that's very good.
It was terrible, bro. I was like, oh, it's Ridley Scott. How bad can it be? It was, you know, he did it after Gladiator, and it was sort of like still sort of doing that kind of thing. And Orlando Bloom just sunk it. Orlando Bloom is not a leading guy. He doesn't have like Russell Crowe charisma.
I watched. Oh, I was going to say I watched Alien Covenant, and I was a little underwhelmed by that. I saw that in theaters, and I was actually amped to see it because it looked interesting and whatnot, and just underdelivered, disappointed. I was like, why are they still going with this franchise?
It's been like that for a while, man. Prometheus and all that, you know. But, you know, the next film I have here is The Exorcist, which was an extremely disturbing film. It really affected me and I think a lot of other people, and just opened up whole genre. I have two more films here, and these are way down the line, but these are two films that I really love. One film is called Sorcerer. It's a 1979 film that that's right, same guy that directed Alien. This is a film I saw when it came out, and it went totally in 1979. So I was young. It went totally over my head. So I circled back a couple years ago and watched it, and it's just an incredible film. In a way, it was the film he did after The Exorcist. So he had a lot of juice and he put a lot into it. The music was by Tangerine Dream, and in a way, it was the downfall of the experimental period. It was right before Star Wars. You know what I mean? So it was like the last of that film of that. You know, it actually reminds me in a lot of ways of the film Heaven's Gate, which is a film that I watched recently. Heaven's Gate is a really controversial film that like took down a whole studio. It was the most expensive
artist.
It took down an artist. I just rewatched it recently. If anybody's got the the wherewithal to go back and watch Heaven's Gate. I just rewatched it, and I really enjoyed it. It's a tough watch. You can't watch it all at once, but and then the last film that I have on here gets special mention. I love the film. I've watched it many times. It's just my kind of a film that I love. Is a film called Master and Commander with Russell Crowe.
Oh yeah, never seen it, but I
I
wanted to.
really love that film. I love it. It's just, it's all guys. There's no love interest in it. They're fucking fighting in the whole film. There's no bullshit. It's just like, let's fucking, it's like, yeah, it was
All
good.
killer, no filler.
All
Two
killer.
questions. The two questions for you. One was earlier. It was, have you seen The Offer about the making of The Godfather?
Yes, I did. And I thought it was really great. I really enjoyed it. On the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, we recently had the kid. No, excuse me. We had a guy who put out like a Godfather. I did a Godfather episode. So we went back and watched all the Godfather films, and I watched The Offer, and I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. I thought the actors that they had playing Coppola and Robert Evans, I thought they were great. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And no, I actually have never seen Wages of Fear, the original version of Sorcerer. I have never seen that.
Oh, great!
I actually started it. I started it, and then sort of like something else came into play. So I have not. I didn't get to see the whole thing.
It's expert at creating tension. Because
Yeah.
the premise. I actually haven't seen Sorcerer, but I knew it was a freaking film. But the premise is these guys are driving, I think it's TNT or dynamite, and one slight jar can kill them, and really fantastic. I highly recommend it. Blade Runner.
I mean, a last thing on Sorcerer is it really stands out as one of the last films of that era, and that era in Hollywood in that time, because right after that, Star Wars hit, and then everything changed. It was all about blockbusters. This was sort of the last time a director could sort of have that kind of cachet and just do what the fuck he wants and get away with something like that. It's a really interesting film. I love it,
Nice. Very cool.
Blade Runner 2, what the fuck?
I liked it. I saw it in IMAX at the Chinese theater on a date, and I fucking was blown away by it.
Is Blade Runner 2 the one that just came out a couple years ago?
2049, the one with Ryan Gosling. Controversial opinion. I like it better than the original. Hot take. I don't know. Let's see here. What does he think about The Warriors?
If you're talking about The Warriors, the film that with Thomas Waits and all them. Well, shit, I grew up in New York City, and I was a kid when the film came out, and I lived that. I lived that. I took the subway as a kid in the 70s, and it was a scary place, and there was gangs, with vests walking around in the subway, and it was a scary. I remember all these fucking, the Warriors had a lot of truth to it. It really did. The Warriors had a lot of truth to it.
Yeah, James Remar too, underrated actor.
What did he do? What did he do after that? Streets of Fire?
I think he was in Streets of Fire. That was
Michael Paré, I think.
Michael Paré. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And Streets of Fire was also a Walter Hill movie.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Willem Dafoe is in it. Yeah. Let's see.
Yo, I got to shout out Astoria Lou. What's up? Astoria Lou is one of my good friends. We go to all these warrior conventions, and like when they have Chiller, like we go, and I go to the Chiller Theater Con a lot with Astoria Lou and Michael Alago and a couple of our other friends, and we just love going to them. And there's always a couple of people we know, and we know a couple of the guys that are that were in the Warriors now, and we're on first name basis with them. So that's nice. So yeah, we the Warriors is huge in our world,
Yeah. Let's see what else we got. 48 Hours. Yeah,
Yes,
Walter
of
Hill.
course.
And
course.
to speak of Alien, Walter Hill wrote the treatment for Aliens. So there's that connection.
Hey,
Dexter.
you know what's a connection here too? Did you see what's it called now? Avatar 2? Is that what it's called?
I didn't see that one. No,
Is it called Avatar 2?
I think so. The way
Yeah.
this something.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
I went and saw it like right when it opened up and really
Okay.
enjoyed it. It's incredible.
Okay.
I mean, we went and like sat up close and got the 3D glasses and like, you know, me and my gal and like, you know, the lounge seats and, you know, we were, and
Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. And
Okay.
I loved it. I love the original, you know,
Sure.
it's James Cameron and there's some really groundbreaking, filmmaking there. I mean, this is cutting edge new technology, some really great stuff. But James Cameron directed it, and the reason I'm bringing that up because you talked about you mentioned Aliens is
Mhm.
if you're a James Cameron sort of scholar, which a lot of us are, right? You know,
Mhm.
Aliens, Terminator, The Abyss,
True
um,
Lies.
True Lies.
One
You
ever talks about it.
Yeah, you see in the new Avatar a lot of his gags. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's that scene where they're running, you know, from Aliens, you know, with the lights flat, you know, like it's you see. Oh yeah, okay, right, James Cameron. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you see, okay, and also there's a lot of like in Aliens, it was like very militaristic, right? With the Marines going and trying to kill the aliens. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that stuff in the new
Yeah.
Avatar film, and you see he's repeating some of his successful gags, you know,
Yeah.
in the new Avatar film. So
Wanderers.
yeah, The Wanderers is
Great
okay.
film.
I mean, it was
Ah,
yeah.
really?
I have to. Maybe I need to revisit that.
Okay.
I tried to revisit Lords of Flatbush, and like you know, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Like
What what do you think about like the current state of Hollywood, like the stuff that they're putting out? You know, I mean, you said the last real good film you saw was A Star Is Born. Um,
there's been a couple of things that I've seen that was good, but I mean, the good stuff that I'm seeing is not. We don't go to the movies for it anymore. I mean, the good stuff
right.
I see is like on Amazon or on Netflix. Um, you know, as far as you know, I try to go to the movies and see new good movies. You know, like if there's something spectacular, like I want to be in a movie theater and see it. I don't want to be fucking sitting in my house watching some fucking screen while this fucking thing's ringing off the hook and my fucking girlfriend's nagging me, you know? So so you know,
That's the allure of the movie theaters. Like you said, movies are form of escapism. So yeah, I don't want to be. You know, sometimes I just want to be out of my apartment and I just want to like
yeah.
just go somewhere. You know, and like L.A. has a vast array of amazing theaters here, so I can't. You know, to be truthful, that's part of the reasons why I came back. That's a big like social thing for me, and something that you know out east in the Carolinas we don't really have major access to. So let's see here. Cameron did the graphics and the
That's what I was said before is a couple blocks from where I live here. I'm in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. There's an AMC movie theater. They renovated a bunch of years ago. It has those like reclining seats. So if there's a movie that we want to see, we'll go on an off hour, an off screening. I like going to movies early. Like
Mhm.
I like to go get breakfast, you know, and sneak it in the movie and like lay back and like watch the movie with nobody in the theater. And like so there's certain movies that, you know, if it's playing there, like I like to see the spectacle of it all, like The Avengers or, you know,
Yeah,
Avatar or stuff like that. I like to see that in a movie theater, you know?
yeah. I saw Top Gun Maverick. That I saw it in. It was like a 3D like fishbowl type lens or whatever. God, the most excruciating movie viewing experience, and I had to stand because there were no empty seats. So
Really,
Yeah,
people been telling me to see it. You know, I haven't seen it yet. My dad was telling me it's really good.
yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's uh, you know, given the vast majority of garbage that Hollywood's been exporting, it was a nice, refreshing breath of air. Let's see here. Can he speak on his script in production? Oh, here we go.
This is Finders Keepers. It's a script that's been around for a while. It was initially written in the mid '90s when I was really coming off the big Biohazard run. Doing all the videos. I had a lot going on. I had a lot of momentum. We had an idea. We wrote the first draft of the script. A couple of drafts came after that. Nothing happened with it. It sort of was put away for a couple of years, for a lot of years, and it comes back every now and then. But it looks like now it's in danger of really moving forward.
In danger.
Yeah, it's been it was just went through a rewrite with a person that's involved with scripts, and I'm starting to feel really good about it, and this is my dream. This is my dream, and
awesome.
and the great words of Arnie Stone, you got to have a dream, and this right here is my dream, and I've done a lot of things, and a lot of things I'm really proud of. And I'm really happy with I with what I've done. I've had a career doing music videos. I had a career doing extreme sports films. I had a career doing music documentaries. I've been on many stages, held many mics, took airplane flights. I did a lot of shit, and I like to be challenged. But this really is calling my name, and
Nice.
probably going to hear more about it because we're the synopsis has been written. It's a how do I put it? It's a Brooklyn heist film, and I don't want to give away too much about it. But the interesting thing about it, the funny thing about it is, like I said, it was written in the mid '90s, right? And it was beepers and wallet chains and baggy pants,
Course.
and that kind of stuff. So when the script was revised, we said, well, I said, well, we need to update it. It's got to be updated. And
Right.
then I read it, and the co-script writer Shauna Kenny read it, and we said, you know what? It doesn't need to be revised. It takes place in the mid '90s.
Period piece.
Beepers, wallet chains,
Yeah.
baggy shorts, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It's a Brooklyn heist film that takes place. Um, you know, somebody. I mean, how can I put it without giving away too much? But yeah, it's like a heist in Brooklyn, and just an unassuming hardcore kid ends up with the money by accident and by happenstance. And you know what? He doesn't really want to give it back, so it sets off a whole thing.
That's
So,
cool. Yeah,
yeah.
script
So
writing is a challenge, man. I haven't written any independently, but I've co-authored scripts with some people, and it takes some time. We spent a year writing a script. One of mine that we were trying to do is like a little neo noir, and then we wrote a pilot for CBS for Star Trek. But that, of course, never saw the light of day. But yeah, it's so involved, man. It's there. Yeah, and when you got to make little edits to the script and something like that, it's
this has been through. We've really worked hard on this. There came a point where it was just an unrealistic script. It was like gunfights and car chases and just not fucking realistic. But we've managed in the past couple years to do a bunch of rewrites and really wrestle it down to the point where it's like I can almost do this. and I'm creating alliances with people. One of the people that is involved is a guy named Beans Goldblum. He was a guitar player in The Exploited. He played with Billy Bio. He has a new film out. He was on my show recently. He has a new film out called Dick Dynamite 1945. And I was really inspired by this little independent film that he made. So I'm connecting with him, looking to bring him on board. And
It's a great
and
title.
yeah, and his people, bring his people on board. So that's what's up with the script. And when it does get going, everybody's going to hear about it because, you know, I'm going to be talking about it a lot, and I'm going to try to raise money for it. And like, this is my dream.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Fucking great. Let's see what else we got here. Sounds great. Francis Larry Kelly says it's great. That's cool, man. Now we were talking about the music videos and whatnot. So would that be safe to say kind of how you got your start, like with filming? Because I know a lot of directors, you know, some will get started in commercials a lot, like director of Fincher, David Fincher, did a bunch of music videos like for Paul Abdul and stuff like that. So was that your kind of your segue into the directing world?
Well, I sort of, things sort of came, I kind of circled around and came back into this, you know. I didn't really have big aspirations to be in the film business. You know, I went to Boston. I went to Boston to study acting. I fell in with the hardcore scene. I crapped out of acting. I came back to New York. I had to get a job. I was working in the film business, you know, working for movie equipment rental house. When I came back to New York, I started a band called The High and the Mighty, and then I joined a band called Antidote. And when I was in Antidote, you know, we played a lot. I played with a lot of other bands, including Cro-Mags. And I became friends with Paris Mayhew from the Cro-Mags, and who was going to school and learning how to be a cameraman. And basically what happened was I was a stage manager on a film stage called 3G Stage with the guy that I mentioned before, my godfather Gabe DiRienzo. I was the stage manager on the stage. Paris, and he said to me, yo, if you rent any of the equipment outside the building, I'll split it with you. So I started renting the equipment outside the building. I had a van. My brother would come to town. I do a little gig here. I do a little gig there. And I just cobbled up enough money to incorporate myself. And I started my production company, Stone Films NYC. That was my umbrella that I was doing, you know, any little jobs under. Well, around this time, I did little jobs and I make a couple bucks, and sometimes things just come together, right? It was about this time that Paris Mayhew came to me and he said, yo, I got a band that's asking me to do a video and I have no way to do it. Would you like to produce it? So it was at that moment that I just had enough money and I got the $1 million insurance policy that you need in New York City in order to be a film production company and rent cameras and get permits in New York City. The band that came to him about the music video was Biohazard. So, and the song was Punishment. So right in that moment, I had the money, I got the insurance, I contracted the job, we did Biohazard Punishment. It did 14 weeks on Headbangers Ball. Biohazard was managed by Rush Management, who also managed a group called Onyx. Onyx had a song called Slam.
Yeah. And then they did this crossover with Biohazard on the Judgment Night soundtrack. Yeah.
They came to us. They said, you know what? Let's get the Rock and Roll White Boys to do the Slam video. So we did Slam. It went double platinum, and the fucking video blew the fuck up. And then we did, right after that, we did Run DMC. We did, you know, we did this one.
Yeah.
We did Typo Negative, Black.
Typo.
We did Typo Negative Black #1. I took this off the wall to make room for my Jews in the Blues poster.
I
So-
just want to say I have hooked up with many strippers to that album. It's fucking incredible.
So
Anyway.
one thing led to the other, and the initial go round and format was I owned the film production company Stone Films NYC, and I produced. Paris Mayhew directed, and that was our partnership for a couple years, and we did a great run of videos, including King's X Dog Man and on and on and on. We did a bunch of stuff, and then when Paris and I split, I went on to direct on my own, and then I went on to do Agnostic Front Gotta Go, Madball Down by Law, and I did a lot of New York hardcore stuff, and then even later on, I did Sick of It All and The Take and all that. But so my goal initially wasn't like I want to be a film director. My fantasy, I had a fantasy, and that was I wanted to make it in the band. So I was a fairly irresponsible young man. I wanted to make it in the band. I spent a lot of years drifting around, playing in the High and the Mighty and Antidote, and kind of dicking around, thinking like the band, someone was going to kick in the rehearsal room door and offer us some huge recording contract, So,
Yeah.
but like I said, things sort of circled around the back, and I started the thing with Paris, and then I started directing, and then after that, I think RS says about the extreme the bike stuff. I ended up having a huge career for. I did 9 films in 7 years. I did the Urban Street Bike Warrior series of films, and those films were huge at the time.
There was a question.
Yeah.
Does he want to talk about his accident filming extreme bite stunts?
I mean, I could talk about it. When we were making the first film, was it 12 o'clock? When we were making 12 o'clock, we went out. We all this stuff, all this street bike stuff now is routine, right? Like you see it in the streets, we see it everywhere. There's been movies. It's sort of like, oh, those kids are wilding in the streets again, blah, 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 blah. At the time that we're talking about here in 1999 or 2000, it was extremely radical. Nobody had ever seen it. It was cutting edge. It was bananas. And I was right there when it started for the most part. And we did the film 12 o'clock. I do want to give props to Mr. Caves from the Lords of Brooklyn. He's the one that called it to me and my brother's attention. He showed me a VHS tape of these guys in Brooklyn riding, and we decided to band together and make the film 12 o'clock. And while we were making 12 o'clock, I think it was the first night that I was out, we were shooting bikes, and all my focus was in front of me, and somebody was behind me, and they lost control, and I turned around and they hit me, and I broke my toe, my foot, my leg, and my hand. I got really hurt, and I got fucked up, but I kept it going, and I went on after that to do Urban Street Bike Warriors and a whole bunch of films, and these films were hugely influential. I mean, I don't know if you ever heard of the movie, what's it called? Torque? There was one called Torque, and there's one called Biker Boys. I was told from a reliable source that in Hollywood, somebody went into, the president of production at Warner Brothers and threw our video on the desk and said, "We need to make a movie about this," and that's what Biker Boys was.
No shit.
I was told that, yeah.
An ICP. You did an ICP video.
Yeah, I worked with ICP. I've told this story a bunch of times. It's funny as fuck. But
okay.
Paris Mayhew and I. This is when me and Paris were together. So yeah, we did. Yeah, hold on. Let me get a picture. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, I got a good picture. So hold on.
I was gonna say, like, ICP. I remember I used to work security at a venue in Charlotte called Tremont, and their shows were always interesting to clean up after, because they would spray like gallons of fucking Faygo out
There
in
you
the
go,
crowd.
man.
Jesus.
Yeah, here's a
Was
shot.
that experience like that on there, or they probably didn't use that when they were doing like a video shoot?
Oh
were
yeah,
they?
yeah. Here's. Could you see that picture I just put up?
Yeah, I'm about to.
That's a shot. Okay, so that's a shot of us. That's us in Detroit. I'm on the left with dreadlocks. I had dreads at the time. Paris is in the middle. This is we came out from New York. I've told the story a couple times. It's pretty funny. We were kind of popping on all cylinders at the time, and the record company got in touch with us and sent us, a package to check out. They're asking us if we're interested in doing a video, and I like opened up the package, and I was just dumbfounded by the whole thing. I was like, clowns that rap. I was like, we were just like, what is this? We were just totally like this is pretty fucking, and we were just like really dismissive of the whole thing, this, wow, we're not, but then we kind of found out like what's up and like how like big they are and what the budget of the video was too. They were throwing some money around, and so we ended up doing the video in Detroit at the State Theater. And then later on, interestingly enough, when I was tour managing for Biohazard, Biohazard went out on, this is like years later, because also I tour managed and I managed bands. That's a whole nother thing in between a lot of this stuff. But when I was actually tour managing for Biohazard, we went out with the Insane Clown Posse in the Midwest. And it was amazing. It was arenas. They were playing arenas. It was bananas.
Yeah, Midwest has mad love for ICP. Like, I wouldn't doubt that they would sell out crazy huge venues. That's
we played Cobo Hall in Detroit, where Kiss did Kiss Alive. The arena, Cobo Hall, like big place. Yeah, Gajewski says, I still love how you said they bootleg their own merch. On that tour, they bootleg their own merch. And in other words, instead of like going to the record label, say, hey, can we have some records to sell? And like they went and made their own CDs. Like they bootlegged their own shit, sold it at the shows, and took all the money for themselves. They fucking sniped their record. They totally I've seen bands sell merch. Okay. Like I went the other night to Anthrax, Black Label Society, and Exodus, and the fucking merch line was like huge, right?
Oh, sure.
I've toured with Biohazard. I know about, merch Slayer. I've never seen a group sell merch at a live show like the Insane Clown Posse.
Oh yeah. Their fans, they're so loyal and they're so dedicated. And yeah, I think one of their biggest successes is in their merchandising. Just how they've been able to put like ICP, like they've done their own films, like Psychopathic Records,
Talk about their fans, right? So at a certain point, like my web page, right? www.stonefilmsnyc.com, right? On my page, there's like a gallery, like a wall of fame, right? Where I took pictures of all sort of the gold records, and it's like this, that, all my awards that are in the closet, they're all in a gallery on the page, right? So apparently at a certain point, I get an email from this kid. It says he's a big Insane Clown Posse fan. And would I be interested in selling my Insane Clown Posse gold record? And I said, how do you even know that I even have a gold record? He said, well, so I guess what happened was, since I took the picture and it's on my web post, I guess if you did a search in some search engine, it comes up. So
Yeah.
he saw that I had the record that I got a gold record from that album. And he says, would you be interested in selling it? I said, not really, bro. I'm not like trying to sell my gold records, right? Yeah. And he offered me like $400. And I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to sell my records, my gold for it. And then he says, well, how about 600? And I said, dude, not really. It's like, I'm not trying to like liquidate my shit. And, and then he comes back a while later. He says, how about 800? And this was at the beginning of the pandemic. So things were kind of sketchy. And like, just on a whim, I said, look, you give me $1,000 cash, I'll meet you halfway and you can have the fucking thing. 2 minutes later, he's like, you got it. So I ended up selling my Insane Clown Posse golden record for $1,000. Wow. Sometimes I regret it now that I do the show. It'd be nice to have, I can't get another one. But on the other hand, it came at a really, really kind of crucial like moment for me. Like, and having that $1,000 come in at that moment, I turned out. I actually what I did with this, I used that money to make to print up the book that I did, and that the book did very successful. So it's sort of like I took that, and it's so it was pretty key. But yeah, because he wants to open a Juggalo museum. Yeah. You know what? Good. And you know what my thought process was, honestly, and I feel this way about all this shit. I mean, this stuff looks cool in the back as I do a show, but I'm not that attached to it. You know what I mean? The biggest thing to me was it's going to someone who's going to cherish it. It's going to someone that's going to love it, and who's going to value it, and who's going to really, and I thought that's cool,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's got a piece of music history there. That's kind of cool. Yeah. Somebody was mentioning Detroit. They said they found 3 rappers dead in an abandoned building there. Jesus.
Well, Detroit's no joke, man. Detroit's crazy. Yeah, Detroit's crazy, man. I mean, it's a bizarre place, man.
Yeah. Anyone you want to shout out, like music wise, or we were talking about Incendiary Device. In fact, that'd be a good idea. What's one of your most interesting tour stories from Incendiary Device / Antidote? Like what? Something wild, something out of the ordinary.
The real wild shit happened when I was out with Biohazard and shit like the Insane Clown Posse. Let's hear that then. That's the wild shit. There's been a lot of wild. I toured for a bunch of years. I did a lot of touring with Biohazard. When I managed bands, I did a lot of traveling. When you're young, touring is fun. I think, listen, when you're young and you could get in a van with a bunch of your friends and travel and see the country and play shows. I mean, that's a fun thing to do. As you get older, I think this is just my personal belief. Things need to change a little bit. You need to it's not fun to get in a van with a bunch of your stinking friends and so if your band is somewhat successful and you could and sort of has moved up a couple levels, and let's say you're not driving, touring can still be fun. Touring can still be fun. I learned early on from Danny Schuler from Biohazard, because we used to go places and you get into this rut where you do a show, the show ends, you get into the bus, you fall asleep, the bus travels through the night, you end up at the next place, you sleep all day on the bus, you wake up, you go in the venue, you sound check, you go get dinner, you play. And it's like, where are we again? It was Danny from Biohazard said to me, like, every place we go, I want to get out and I want to do something, because I might not ever do this again. Yeah. And I might not ever have this opportunity again to be here. So,
Right.
you know, I kind of hitched my wagon to Danny Schuler from Biohazard early on and made an effort. Like when we were in Paris, we went to the Louvre. When we were, when we were here, we would go to this and that, and really made an effort to get out and wherever we were and to do something, I learned that from him early on because there's people that tour and they do nothing but sleep and play, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, so much stuff I did on tour. Some of the great, crazy. I saw a lot of crazy stuff, man. It's also scary. It's a scary lifestyle, when you're a band and you're not at that level and you're driving yourselves around in a van and you're doing late night drives, I saw, it's scary. People fall asleep behind the wheel. It's dangerous. You're out there. There's cops. It's tough, man. It's a scary thing. People get hurt. Bob Riley from Stigmata was in a bad van accident. The Candiria was in a bad van accident. It's like, when you're young, it can be a scary thing. As far as shouting, who I'll shout out? I'm going to shout out Cousin Joe and Black and Blue Productions, who just announced the Black and Blue Bowl, because they did something so radically different this year. And instead of it being Old Timers Day, of a bunch of dad hardcore bands, they brought in a whole bunch of young hardcore bands, and they're really mixing it up. And I give them a lot of credit for that. It's a hard thing to do. And I take my hat off to them. It's awesome. It's a tough thing to do. So, I give them ups. I give everybody ups who's out there struggling and doing it, man. It's a tough thing to do. There's a lot of bands here in New York, that a lot of mid-level bands that are never going to, really break to the big time. And people are doing it because they love it, man. And like, they're doing it because they love it. So is he going to film his new script or trying to get to a major studio? It's hard to say. As of right now, based on sort of the way things have been, there's no justice. It's just us. In the end, you would think that I'm going to try to raise the money independently and make an independent film with all my fucking friends and family. You would think that's the way it's going to go. But stranger things have happened. You don't know. You just don't know. You don't know. But at this point, part of the reason I feel so very strongly about Finders Keepers is the amount of people that I've worked with in the film business and the amount of actors that I know, outside the film business. It might be time to walk up to the window with all the chips and go, I want to cash out, and ask all these people that I've worked with and helped, and this is it. This is my dream.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that, sometimes you just gotta throw it all in, I felt like that when I came to Los Angeles,
Yeah.
I was telling you that I had a Antidote shirt on coincidentally, when I moved out here, but yeah, $300, and I was staying on the temple in the Hari mat in the temple in the Hare Krishna temple, staying on a yoga mat. Nice. I got the words out. And I mean, like, I took a big gamble, and finally it's starting to pay off. And that's something like, within entertainment and filmmaking and artistry, it's not always overnight, and you might have to take a big stab at it if you want to have some success.
You can't win if you don't play.
Absolutely.
He who dares wins. You just, you gotta go for it, man. It just
now let's talk a little. I was going to say, let's talk a little bit about the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. You put some flyers up here.
Yeah, could you either or put it up and I'll give it a try. Okay, so what this is here, if you could take the comment off, Larry's comment.
Oh yeah. Boom.
So what this is, these are the New York Hardcore Chronicles shows, the Back to the New York Hardcore Roots music series that we've been doing at the Bowery Electric. In the tradition of the old CBGB's matinees, these are free, all ages matinees a block away from CBGB's. And the next one is a week from Sunday with Shutdown, Kings Never Die, speaking of Danny Schuler on drums, because Danny plays drums with them. And of course, Dan Nastasi from Dog Eat Dog plays guitar, Larry the Hunter, Shutdown, Mark Scandato. We're playing Incendiary Device. It's going to jump off tonight. End of Hope, speaking Davey Gunner, who was in Kraut in India Vid. This is happening a week from Sunday. They're all ages. Next month is Two Man Advantage. First New York show in 5 years. Enziguri, Fuck It, I Quit, with Tim from Ensign, formerly Non-Residents and Iconicide. And then April 30th is another show. Go is playing their first show in many years in New York City. Crazy Eddie, Down Low, Crippled Urn, and Chumhuffer. And
Love
there's also,
cover.
Yeah, it's a cool one. And there's a show I'm about to announce on April 2nd at Berlin, which is another one of Jesse Mallon's club. We're doing a free all-ages Sunday matinee there at Berlin with Channel 3 from California. We're playing ID and a couple of others. So that's about to be announced. But,
Nice.
we do these free all-ages shows, and it's keeping the community together and everybody hanging out, and yeah, everyone's on the guest list. Exactly. Everyone's on the guest list, and yeah, they're great. They're great, and they bring me a lot of joy. It's really nice. I really like everybody coming together and having experienced a very similar thing with the CBGB matinees and everything. Doing it on a Sunday, down there. I'm a bit, it brings me back a little bit, and a lot of young people come to the shows, and I really enjoy it.
That's awesome, dude. Now, the Jews and the Blues, is that going to be seeing any theatrical release anywhere else in like independent theaters, LA?
Yeah, I think at this point it's been picked up by a distributor. Menemsha Films has it. They're the largest distributor of Israeli and Jewish films, and it's kind of out of my hands right now. It's like they have it, and it's doing film festivals now, right? And I'm going down to Florida next week. If anybody's down in that area, it is the closing film of the Palm Beach Jewish Film Festival, which, like I said, is the Super Bowl of Jewish film festivals. It's a real big one. It's really cool. And then here in New York City, it's the closing film in May at the Rockland County Jewish Film Festival. So what's happened with this film is, unlike these, hold on.
You got Respect from Scotland, Robert Hogg.
Yeah, what's up, Robert?
Drew
Thanks,
has Survival Bay Area. Drew Stone has educated so much of the next gen with his podcast. Great guest.
Well, thank you. I just posted. Check out what I just posted there.
Give me 1 second.
No,
okay.
The other thing.
Oh, this one.
Nope.
No.
There's another one. Hey, there you go. All right. So, unlike my other 4 films, which can all be seen on Amazon, by the way, if anybody has Amazon Prime, watch, and you're looking for something to watch, the new film is doing the festival circuit, and it's kind of out of my hands. It's like they're putting it into film festivals, they're licensing it to temples and synagogues, screenings. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with it. It's done a couple screenings in New York. It'll probably do a bit of a theatrical release, and then of course the hope for it is that it's going to get on one of these streaming platforms so everybody can see it, right?
Oh yeah, that's the goal. Absolutely. Well, that's cool. If it has an LA premiere, I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Let's see
I
here.
haven't been out. I haven't been out there to. I haven't been out there to screen it yet in LA. I
The
think it.
Lemley does a lot of really good independent like documentary screenings and whatnot. They're fantastic theaters. I don't know if you've ever been to
What
any
is
of
it
them out
called?
there. The Lemley,
Ah, right.
named
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
yeah. So
Like I said, I gotta say to a certain extent, I gotta say to a certain extent, with this film, I like the distributor has it. They're hooking shit up.
yeah,
If it's in my vicinity, I'll go and do a Q&A, but I got my eye on what's next. You know?
nice,
Yeah, that's what's
nice.
up. I mean, and
That's
that's why I hope that the film ends up on Amazon. It won't end up, I doubt it would end up on Netflix at this point. Netflix isn't picking up independent films. They're doing all their own shit. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So,
Which is a shame because Netflix, I remember they used to have their streaming selection was like art house shit and like way obscure shit, and I loved it.
yo, make no mistake about it. Who the fuck is that guy, The Fabulous Journey of Michael Alago, which was on Netflix for 3 years, put me on the map.
That's fucking awesome.
I
Man.
mean, it put me on the map. Before that, I did the Boston hardcore film, this and that, blah, 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 blah. But having that film on Netflix for 3 fucking years and be able to say, yo, watch my film. It's on Netflix. Like that, talk about, I didn't just move up, a step. That moved me up like 3 steps.
Oh
And,
yeah, I mean, when you get those big opportunities like that, that can be a
yeah.
springboard for bigger things. It's fantastic.
Well, it
Yeah,
did because right after that, I parlayed the New York Hardcore Chronicles film that came out right behind that, and then
yeah.
and then a lot of other things. So, but that was a big deal for me as a filmmaker.
How did you two link up? That's an interesting story. I actually went up to New York to go see um, Don Fuss's book signing up there at the little vegan cafe, and Drew was there holding it down. And yeah, I don't remember how we got talking about films. I think somebody said that you were a filmmaker, and then I just went up and just started talking about film with you and whatnot. And yeah, that was I think ID played that night too, and really
Oh,
great. I mean,
that was the next day we played that book. Yeah, it was the next day we played the Bowery Electric. Yeah, were you there? Did
oh,
you see that?
I did not go. No, I
No.
was having an interesting conversation about that because I met up with one of my ladies of the night, and I was like, yeah, maybe she'll. I was like, I don't know if she'd want to go to this to like a hardcore or punk rock show, and you were like, yeah, we wouldn't want to subject her to that. Like that. I was laughing my ass off. I was like, 'cause she wouldn't have liked it anyway. I mean, I kind of already had her figured out as far as that's concerned. But yeah, no, that was a great time up there. And I've only been to New York City on a handful of occasions, but yeah, real great crew up there. A bunch of I could see how the New York hardcore scene would be really like attractive there because it's like I see guys just out there hanging out on the stoops and stuff, and like it was like a network almost, to where you could just meet
Well,
people.
everybody's got their little network. If there's one thing I learned a long time ago is everybody panders to their own fan base, and there's hardcore scenes here that have nothing to do with other hardcore scenes here.
Really?
It's kind of crazy. They're like, what I do is this, what they do is that, and what they do is that. There are full on hardcore scenes that have no crossover with other hardcore scenes here in New York.
Wow.
It's pretty wild.
That is wild.
Once in a while, you'll get something like the big Tompkins Square Park show that from a while back, and like a couple of things will overlap, and it'll just be like, holy shit. But for the most part, it's interesting. There's like this circuit of bands and that circuit of bands and this circuit, and like they don't interact. It's in a way it's sad, but everybody sort of has their universe. Everybody lives in their own reality, man.
there's a big punk rock scene in Charlotte, and there's a big hardcore scene. Well, I don't know about so much anymore, but there was at one point. And yeah, the two rarely crossed paths.
Yeah.
It was so weird. People are like, this, and I mean, I was a hardcore guy. They're like, such and such, Johnny Mohawk, and whatever. And I'm like,
Yep.
no, I don't. Like
Yeah.
if they had coagulated and came together and like those kind of mixed bill shows that we used to see very often, it would happen, but it didn't.
Hardcore is the gift that keeps giving. You could be doing stuff, feeding the homeless, or you could be doing stuff. You could be doing free shows, and putting young bands on, and yet someone will still send you a screenshot of someone going, yeah, fuck that guy, he's a this and he's a that, and
Oh,
and
I get it all.
Hardcore is the gift that keeps giving, man.
It's
and
true.
like, if you don't have a strong jaw, man, and forget it, man.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
it's unbelievable. You could be like, you could be helping bands and doing stuff, and you'll still have people going, that guy's a fucking, he did that, he farted 3 decades ago and it smelled. Yo, fuck that guy. It's like, it's unbelievable, man.
Hardcore, some serious grudge holders. I don't get it, man.
Hardcore's got all the serious grudge holders. Hardcore is just, it's a cesspool, but it's my cesspool, and I love it, and I love the people, I love the music, but I think part of it with me is acceptance, like I went through this a couple of times. I went through it when I did the street bike films. There's always somebody that's carrying on. So I sort of realized a long time ago that you can't please everybody. And there's always a voice of dissent, which is the loudest. And they're usually, I don't say there's always, but usually there's somebody that will try to be the most negative and damaging, because that gives that person an identity.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm the anti fucking Drew Stone guy. Oh, fuck him. And it's like, yo, dude, take a number and get at the back of the line, because you're not the first person that's kind of, come out from underneath the rock, espousing that gibberish. So take a number, get at the back of the line. We'll get to you, when things calm down a little bit. I just keep doing what I do, man. I just keep following my heart and just, making art and just doing my thing. I'm not better than anybody else, man. I just do. I just do what I do. I do my thing, man. And I try, and not to sound corny, like, PMA, or and all that. Yeah. But I just try to keep moving forward and not really be too invested in the past. I try to be about today, and I try to be moving forward to the future. There's a lot of that in hardcore. Back in the day, OG, we're an OG. Like, yeah, God, give it a break.
Well, Drew, it has been a real pleasure to have you here. No, that wasn't being dismissive or anything, but because I know a lot of guys like that too. But real quick, let's send you off. When does the New York Hardcore Chronicles broadcast on YouTube?
Oh, could you put up the other thing and I'll go through them real quick?
Is this one?
There you go. No, the other one.
We did that one. This one.
Yeah, and just take down the Lori Dawn's comment.
Yeah. Bye, Lori Dawn. All right.
Yeah. So I'm doing a show on Sunday. It was supposed to be Phil Demmel, but he has a recording date. So what we're doing is we're mixing it up and bringing all new bands on the show this Sunday. Everybody knows about that. This Wednesday, I'm doing what's known as a Side Trips. It's a Hot Tuna retrospective. We're going to be talking about that Hot Tuna. Wednesday, February 15th, Andy Guida from Altercation, Super Touch, Absolution, Stillborn. He's the owner and proprietor of 6-3 Studios. Sunday, February 19th, Vinny Vitale from Marauder. Sunday, February 26th, Dave Dictor from MDC will be on the show. Wednesday, March 1st, DC Hardcore Represent, Skeeter from Scream. The 8th of March, filmmaker Danny Garcia. He has a new film out called Night Clubbing: The Birth of Punk Rock in New York City. He also directed The Rise and Fall of the Clash. Looking for Johnny, the Johnny, what's his name? Why am I drawing a blank? From New York Dolls. Johnny Thunders.
Oh, Johnny Thunders. Yeah.
Steve Vaders, the Rolling Stone and Life and Death of Brian Jones. Always excited to have a filmmaker on the show. And then as we head towards the landmark 250th show number 249, Louis Beto from Carnivore and Agnostic Front. And then show 250 is Lars from Rancid.
Wow, look at all these guys.
And then show 252, I just announced, I think this morning, big influential DC band, the Slicky Boys, will be on March 29th. So
that's fucking awesome.
That's what's up with that. And I just want to thank you for having me on. It was
Dude,
nice to be. It was nice to be on the other side of things, bro.
Yeah, I don't get that opportunity very often, so I'm always kind of like I don't know if I'm doing a good job or not. But no, it was a great conversation. And let's throw a few more comments up here. Yeah, Lori Don, sorry. Let's see here. Scott Drewski, AF said it best. Today, tomorrow, forever.
Thanks,
D
Scott.
says, great job, Drew. Catch you Sunday. Scott says, February 15th is my birthday. Happy preemptive birthday, Scott. Scott has been on this channel quite often. He's great. And I wanted to thank everybody from your channel that came and flocked over here, because this is great. This is
I mean, I want to thank my gang, man. They support me so big time, and RS70 and Scott and D and Lori Dawn and Larry Kelly, and it just goes on and on. It
was great to meet you too, Larry.
Yeah.
He posted that earlier in the section there. But
Lou and just everybody, man. I'm very fortunate that I have such a great support system that love the show and support me as an artist. I'm very fortunate.
That's fantastic. Yeah, go over to New York Hardcore Chronicles live on YouTube. Subscribe over there. It's a really fantastic podcast. Drew's a really great curator of all things hardcore and history. Check out Incendiary Device on whatever music streaming platform.
We're doing a record now. The record's getting mixed. Bridge 9 is putting it out. It's going to take a couple more months. We're working on the video now. These things just take time in this day and age. But like for us with Incendiary Device, we just want it to be right. No sense rushing it out. It might take a little longer. Let's just get it right. This is a big thing for us. And, once it's done, it'll be out there. Thank you, Robert Hogg. I appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, everyone that was saying great show. Thank you so much. And also the Jews and the Blues, soon to be hitting.
If you're down in the Florida area, reach out. It's screening a week from Saturday. It'll be screening up here in Rockland, and I'll be posting all kinds of screenings of the film. So there you go.
That's fantastic. Yeah, everybody support Mr. Drew Stone here. Also, if you like what you saw here, click on that subscribe button. Click on the like so it goes up in the algorithm. Click on that little bell for notifications. So every time I drop a new video or live stream, you get that instantaneously. I also have a clothing company called Hell's Heart Merch on Instagram. We have TNF shirts on there. And we also have, in fact, I might even have some of the shirts on here. We also have all sorts of other stuff like movie mocks and things like that. Here, wait, I'll throw it up. We got that one right, Sean. Yeah, we got that one right there. And then we got that one right there. And there's an old design that we're almost sold out of. But yeah.
Damn, I gotta ramp up my merch game.
I mean, I had to, that was part of it, frivolous expenses.
Big shout out to Upstate Rick, who's a big supporter of my show, whose health is not doing too great. He's having a hard time. We love you, Rick. We really do. All the best to you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like I said, do all that aforementioned stuff. And yeah, we'll be broadcasting here again soon. I think one of the members of Strife is going to be on coming up. So that should be interesting. Yeah. Cool. Really big influential band on me.
Who do you got? Who's coming up? Andrew?
Andrew. Yeah. Just talked to him the other day. We're just trying to finalize a date.
Awesome.
Let me send us out here. Drew Stone, again, thank you so much. This was fantastic. I love
My
talking
pleasure.
film. I love talking hardcore. And you're a really talented guy, and you got a lot of good projects going on. So hopefully get to talk to you again soon, man.
You will. You will. Take care. And thanks, everybody. I'll see you guys later.
Hang out for a second. Namaste, jobless, Hare Krishna, guys. I love you all. Be good.